Hey guys, hope you're all going well. Today I'm going to be filming a video that I get quite a lot of requests for, and that is what are the best settings to use on my GoPro Hero cameras. So before I start, there's just a few things I want to say. First of all, for the purpose of today's video, I'll be using the GoPro Hero 4 Black Edition as an example, but these settings can be applied and changed for different GoPro Hero cameras. Also, I want to say that just because you have the camera set to the right settings doesn't mean you're going to capture awesome footage and your videos are going to look amazing. There's quite a lot of other things that go into making a good video, and there will be a few tutorials after this that highlight those different things. So if you resolutions and frame rates. There are two different general settings that I use in terms of resolutions and frame rates, and that is 4K at 30 frames a second and 1080p at either 90 or 60 frames per second, even 120 sometimes. The 4K at 30 frames a second is just for general use. So say you're going to the beach and you're just filming a nice scenic view, or when I do my aerial shots, like this one you can see here in the background, and I'll put a few up on screen here. Those are all usually done at 4K 30 frames a second. Now I recommend 4K because even though you might not be uploading or editing in 4K, this means that you can zoom in on a 1080p composition and still have full quality. So because 4K is 4 times the resolution of 1080p, even if you zoom in quite a bit on the subject, you'll still have more than 1080p resolution. Now the 1080p at 60, 90 or 120 frames a second is obviously for slow motion. So anyone that owns a GoPro knows that you can do some awesome slow motion with them, and that's what the 1080p is there for. If you don't have those exact settings, like the Hero 4 Black does, you can modify them to change for whatever camera you're using, I guess I should say. 4K might not be possible at 30 frames a second, but you can do 2.7K at 30 frames a second. And as in terms of the slow motion, pretty much anything 1080p or above with the highest frame rate possible. Now the reason I don't use 120 frames a second all the time when I'm doing slow motion is that it can affect the amount of light let into the sensor. So unless you've got a really nice bright day with a smooth background, sometimes 120 frames a second can be a bit much, but again, it depends on how much you want to slow down your footage. So although these settings are important, the frame rate and resolution, in my opinion, the most important settings on your GoPro camera are the Pro Tune settings, as that is what allows you to get the most out of your Hero cameras. So we'll dive right into them now. So here we are, I've got my GoPro Hero 4 Black Edition out, and I'm going to go into how to get the Pro Tune settings and what I have my GoPro set at. So for the Hero 4 cameras, you just go to video mode and press the settings button to get into the menu. So here you'll see the resolution, the frame rate, field of view, all that good stuff. But if you keep scrolling, you'll get to a PT, and that stands for Pro Tune. Now as you can see, I've got mine turned on. If you turn it off, there's a lot of settings that you lose in the camera. So first of all, turn Pro Tune on if you don't already have that turned on. Next up is the white balance. Now I have my white balance set to auto because it can be quite a hassle changing it each time you go into a different environment with different lighting settings, and the GoPro tends to pick up the correct white balance pretty accurately. Now if you want a really flat image that you have full control over, you can change this to native, which just takes it direct out of the camera, and I've experimented with this a little bit, but I find that it just leaves too much to post-processing, and I prefer to have it set at auto and let the GoPro do its thing. Next up is the color profile. Now as you can see, there's two options here, flat or GoPro color. So GoPro color is the standard color that you get out of the GoPro camera, and although this looks quite good, I feel it doesn't give enough flexibility in post. So if you want to get a flat image and be able to color correct it, and this way you'll get the best looking image possible because you get to decide what the image looks like, the flat color profile is the way to go. Next up we have ISO. Now this is basically artificial lighting that's added to the footage, so if it's dark, ISO will kick in and it will make your footage brighter, but at a cost, and it does add quite a bit of grain. So for GoPros, I've found that 400 is probably the maximum you want to set it to. You can have it set at 1600. Yep, 1600 if you want to, but I find that that's way too much. There'll be way too much grain and the footage just won't look good at all. So normally I leave this set at 400, and if you need to, you can add a bit more light in post-processing. Finally, onto sharpness. Now this is another one that sort of goes down to personal preference. You have the option of medium, low, or high. Now normally I have mine set on medium, as I feel this gives a good balance, and you can again edit in post if you want it more sharp, or make it a little less sharp as well. I do know that filming on high looks also, sorry that's low, filming on high sharpness also gives quite a good image with the GoPro cameras, but sometimes it can be a little too much, so this is one that you may have to test out yourself and let me know what you think. But personally, I think that medium is the way to go. So there you have the settings that I use on my GoPro cameras, and they are what I personally think is best. Now, if you have any other opinions on it, feel free to comment below, let me know what you think. Now make sure you keep an eye out on my channel, there'll be a few more tutorials coming up on how you can edit and improve your GoPro videos, so make sure you don't miss those. And that's all from me. Have a good day, and I'll see you guys next time. Cheers.